Don't look for the needle in the haystack. Just buy the haystack. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. For today's installment of our quote series, we're going to evaluate a quote from John Bogle when he said, "Don't look for the needle in the haystack. Just buy the haystack." Now, John Bogle was an investor, a business magnate, philanthropist. He was actually the founder and chief executive of the Vanguard Group and was the first creator of an index mutual fund. Now, I could go right off the deep end because, again, here on this channel, we view everything through an infinite banking lens. And we don't talk about mutual funds very much. We don't talk about investing, and I certainly don't give investing advice. But we talk about the banking function. So I'm going to take perhaps a unique direction just based off of who this is, where he comes from, what he did, all these kinds of things, by considering this quote with an infinite banking lens to talk about where Nash discussed creating the entity in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. So here's what I mean. You're in the business of whatever it is that you're doing. You have a job, a career, a small business, a big business. You're a full-time investor. I don't know. But you're doing what you're doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. The world's doing what it's doing. And if you think about banks, banks are in the business of financing our businesses or careers, households, what have you. So who's really the most profitable character in your life? Well, I would argue that the banks are doing well. And in fact, when we realize that the banks are making 400, maybe up to 1,300% on the dollars that we leave there, they're not doing poorly. Maybe they know some things that we should consider is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that the quantitative easing, the fractional reserve banking is right. In fact, Nash would say that banks are making money out of thin air, and that's evil. He would just call it downright wickedness. And for sure, it would be illegal for us to try and do that. So there's that. But again, what I'm trying to focus on here is Nash would talk about creating the entity, and the entity being a privatized banking system. So how do we go about, considering a statement like this, looking for a needle in a haystack? We've heard that in various contexts. Well, don't do that. This investor mogul says, just buy the haystack. And I can get something out of that. I can understand that. I hear lots of things in my mind, I guess, as far as, I would consider Warren Buffett as someone who would probably say something along the lines of, well, do what you know. Do what you know. And he seems to have done well by doing what he knows and understands. I've heard Robert Kiyosaki say something very similar to that as well. He invests in things that he understands. He's a real estate guy, so he talks a lot about real estate, for example. Now, again, I'm just trying to point out that banking, see, you might be a mutual fund fan. You might not be. I might not be. I'm not. But that's funny. But banking takes place regardless. So who's gone to the extent of creating a banking entity to be able to earn on that banking process, whether we're talking about mutual funds, whether we're talking about your family vacation, whether we're talking about the vehicle that you drive, whether we're talking about someone's college education, whatever it happens to be, everything is financed. And once we realize that everything is financed, either by conventional lending or paying by cash, but someone owns a banking entity that we use. I'm here to promote the idea that you can become your own banker. That yes, you don't have to find the needle in the haystack, but if you're well capitalized because you own a privatized banking system, and there you are well capitalized and a needle in a haystack presents itself, that's what Nash would say. Nash would say that when you're well capitalized, opportunities will hunt you down. So I get the sentiment that Mr. John Bogle was saying there. You don't have to look for the needle in the haystack if you're just going to buy the haystack. But then aren't you getting a bunch of refuse with maybe the golden egg? Anyway, this is a really interesting conversation is what seems to be the case to me. Please let me know your comments down or let me know your thoughts down in the comments section, because I'm seeing so many different ways that we could discuss this, but I'm going to try and bring it back to just that. Banking is a function. It exists. Who controls the banking function in your life? Or John's or mine's or anybody else? Well, I'm here to promote the idea that you can create a privatized banking entity where you can control the banking function in your life. And if you'd like to have a conversation about how to implement that concept, then you can book a free consultation at 828-817-4223. Or you can email durhamtalents@gmail.com. This has been a great pleasure for me. I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care.
I'll buy it.